Hello and welcome to Cover to Cover, our semi-regular review of sporting books where I give you my opinion of what's on the bookshelves at the moment. If you've got a book you'd like us to review, we'd love to hear from you. There's the email address, sean.everett@supersport.com. Let's move straight ahead then to today's book. There it is, Heyneke Meyer, 7. My Notes on Leadership and Life, written and self-published by Heyneke Meyer, with a foreword by none other than Steve Hampson. The book is distributed by Flyleaf Publishing and is available from them at orders@flyleaf.co.za. So let's engage with the book. And first of all, let me say that it is beautifully put together. You'll see how nicely it's bound in the old-fashioned way. It's really well illustrated. There's a picture of Heyneke kissing Brian Habana, and all of the images both advance the text and are also very well annotated. So it's a pleasure to be able to say that purely from a production perspective, this book is worth the money. And I'm very happy to say that the same applies to the text. 7, as its full title suggests, is not an autobiography, although there are many autobiographical aspects to it. What it is an attempt by the former Springbok coach to put into words the things that have helped him on his journey. For those who don't know Heyneke Meyer and think that the last year of his Springbok tenure, when he was typically captured on camera looking like a deer in the headlights, is a fair reflection of the man, think again. This book reveals the real Heyneke Meyer, the self-deprecating, humble, honest, and above all, passionate rugby man. I mentioned self-deprecating. Let me quote from the introduction to the book. By the age of 34, I had been fired twice as the head coach of a Super Rugby team. In one of those seasons, my team lost all 11 of their matches. Then came the collapse against Japan. You may have heard about the miracle of Brighton. And so on. You get the picture. This is not a hey, look at me book, but rather a genuine and at times touching grapple with real life. You must have a vision is one of the things that he says. There are 7 mantras in all. You must believe in that vision. You must have willpower, work ethic, be mentally tough, enjoy the journey, and know that you cannot do this alone. If I've given the impression with that 7 is one of those self-help books that you find in certain sections of the bookshop, let me correct myself. This is a book about rugby. If it wasn't, I wouldn't be reviewing it here for Cover to Cover. It deals in detail with the big moments of Heyneke's career, winning the Super 14 with the Bulls, losing to Japan with the Boks, and battling against the All Blacks, and so on. It gives great insight into the character of such Bulls and Springbok legends as Farid de Preer, Victor Matfield and Bakkies Botha. Bakkies came to the Bulls as a rather raw number 7 flank, and that was what he was playing for the Falca. He was a work in progress, but at the Bulls he was given the support structure to grow into one of the most respected and feared locks that the game has ever known. And that support structure is one of the core aspects of Heyneke's book. The final section, entitled "You Cannot Do This Alone," acknowledges the people who have helped him on his journey. It's a reminder of the dark days of Blue Bulls rugby in the late 1990s, when the once proud Union was on its knees and couldn't attract the top players to Pretoria. Heyneke's solution was to create what became famous as the Bulls family, a bottom-up enterprise where the Union treated all its squad members alike and played the same style of rugby at under-19 level and all the way up to senior Super Rugby level. Everything at the bottom of the pyramid was designed to enhance success at the top of the pyramid. Along the way, of course, some egos were bruised, and as Heyneke points out, a coach cannot be everybody's friend. To this day, for instance, he still regrets letting go of former Bulls captain Derek Grobelaar when the Lock had played a tantalising 99 games for the Union. The fans and the media loved to hate him, and he kept and displayed a Pretoria News lamppost poster saying "Knives are out for Heyneke" to help keep himself humble. Now, I should never let personal matters intrude, but let me say this. I've known Heyneke Meyer since he started coaching the Eagles back in the late 1990s. And in all of his time coaching in this country with the Eagles, the Bulls and the Springboks, he has always been the same decent human being. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. In 2005, on the Monday after the Currie Cup semi-finals, I got a phone call from the Sunday Times asking if I could write a major feature piece on Brian Habana. At that stage, Habana was 22, signed by Meyer from the Lions. He was 18 months into his starry career with the Springboks and probably the hottest player in South Africa. I called Heyneke and asked if he could make Habana available in the run-up to the Currie Cup final. He couldn't, but he said, what about after the game? So I said, fine, but it had to be one-on-one, private. No problem, he said. And off to Loftus I went to watch the Bulls, who had won the Currie Cup for 3 years in a row and were about to march to victory in the 2005 final against Free State, coached back then by Rassie Erasmus. But of course, that's not what happened. The Blue Bulls were 25-12 up, 16 minutes left, when, of all people, Brian Habana was yellow carded for a high tackle. The Cheetahs seized their chance, scored 17 unanswered points, and won the Currie Cup for only the second time in their history. Habana was the villain of the piece and had to be helped from the field at the end with a leg injury. So at the post-match press conference, I said to Heyneke that I would fully understand if the interview was off. Not a bit of it. He said, just wait until everybody's gone. I'll bring him to you. And half an hour later, I was in the concrete bowels of Loftus Versfeld when, hobbling into sight on crutches, came Brian Habana, escorted by his coach. Heyneke introduced us, told Brian he could trust me, and left us to get on with it. That good and honest man shines through in every page of this book. It's called 7, but I give it an 8. 8 out of 10, and I recommend it to you wholeheartedly. That's it for today. Let's finish with an inspirational quote from the book. This one from the greatest, Muhammad Ali. Champions aren't made in the gym. Champions are made from something inside them, a desire, a dream, a vision. They have to have skill and the will, but the will must be stronger than the skill.